Welcome to Resilient Minds 365, where we discuss the resilient stories of entrepreneurs, professionals, and students with mental illnesses to encourage you to strive, thrive, and live in abundance. I'm your host, Cleoni Crawford. So today we have a wonderful guest with us. Her name is Jennifer Walsh. Who is she? Well, Jennifer Walsh is the founder and CEO of Jeny Jewelry, a jewelry business that is about female empowerment and bringing out the goddess within. With her journey, she has learned patience, perseverance, and to keep moving. From being in a wheelchair, she has transformed her life and is now thriving and wants to encourage others with her story. With that said, I now present to you Jennifer Walsh. Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. And you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you very much for coming on our show. So the first thing I want to ask a little bit more is about your profession as I guess, a jewelry connoisseur or chain. What was the other one? Chain. You said chain.
Chain couture.
Couture. Right. Tell us more about your profession.
Well, it kind of started accidentally.
Okay.
It's really the truth. I really started this accidentally. I was forced to stop working. I got sick and I almost went blind and I could only sit on my couch basically. I had that much energy. But I figured you can still do something. So
Yeah.
I started fiddling around with the chain and then came up with a few pieces. And one of my very best first pieces was a chain bikini.
Wow. Cool.
And it's just elaborated and evolved from there into, it's a lot more than jewelry. It's chain couture. And
Cool.
I make clothing.
Okay. All right. Wicked. Wicked. That's awesome. So we're gonna go right into the interview. With that said, once now that we know who Jeny is, I'd like to go in deep diving into the mental health piece. So my first question is, what is your mental health diagnosis, and when were you diagnosed?
Okay, so my mental health diagnosis was it's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they gave me, when my eyes were damaged, they put me on high doses of steroids to prevent me from going blind. The
Mm.
steroids eventually, when I tapered off, I developed secondary adrenal insufficiency. And then from there, they to manage adrenal insufficiency, you got to take steroids. But
Right.
long-term steroids have so many side effects, and one of them for me is the steroid dementia.
Wow.
So it'll fragment my memory,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And there came a point in time where I'd be there and I'm like, I could feel the blind in my head just like coming down, and I'm like, I can't think. There's like something's wrong. I could almost feel it physically in my head that there was something not working, and I couldn't think at all. It was just gone. And
Wow.
then like my daughter noticed it a lot, and then she's like, yeah, we talked to the family doctor, and then we put me on Adderall to try and get the neurons working a little bit better. So it helps. But like, if you ask me a random question, like not part of the conversation, I'll just like blank out and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
So when did this happen? When did this happen? When did this start?
um I think I was diagnosed in 2018,
Okay.
I
Years
think.
ago. Okay.
So yeah, so the memory is affected. It's affected, and like the cognitive function, if I'm too tired,
Mm-hmm.
like I zone out. I'm not there anymore. So it's either I need more Adderall or more steroids or more something to keep my body going. But
Wow.
the mental aspect, it's that. And then when I was at the beginning of my journey into adrenal insufficiency, when I was under medicated by my doctor, um, that's when the anxiety, I experienced extreme anxiety. It,
Wow.
it, it was unreal. And then, but at least I'm grateful that I got to understand it, because
Mm-hmm.
I can understand others that live with it all the time.
Right. You have empathy.
Yeah, so I'm like, it brought me that knowledge, that sense. It was several months of it, but once I was regulated on the right dose, I was better.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still stuck with the steroid dementia.
Wow. Wow.
Still stuck with that one.
Yeah, yeah. But you're no longer affected by the anxiety as much as before.
No, no, only if I go for a while too low on the dose,
Yes.
then it'll creep right back up. So if I'm low on steroids, I'm high on anxiety.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, so it's really medicated. It's really directly related to medication, the anxiety.
Okay, okay.
So
So, with that said, tell us your mental health story of resilience. What happened, and how were you able to transform from, being in such a bad state to being in a state where you're a bit more stable?
years of practice, unfortunately. When I was in my early 20s, I lost the use of my legs.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we didn't know what it was. And then I'd use my arms to get myself around a bit. And then the arms went too. And then you're like, okay, you don't know what's wrong. Today I know it's myasthenia gravis, but at the time I didn't. And I thought I'd be, handicapped for the rest of my life. I didn't know what I was going to do.
Mhm.
That's when I realized, in my early 20s, I had a lot of potential. I'm smart. I got a lot of talents, and I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't doing nothing with everything that I had. And it was like, it felt like life just took it all away from me,
Right.
for me to realize that, you know what, you need to do something with what you've got. So in that time, that's when I learned Spanish. I couldn't walk, I couldn't go anywhere, but I wasn't going to do nothing. So I learned Spanish. That was my first introduction into doing something else.
Yes.
You can't do one thing, do something else.
Right. I like that. I
Yeah.
like that attitude, because sometimes we feel as though because we don't have the ability to function in one way, that means it's like we can't function at all. But that's not true. That's not true. We can make do with what we have instead of what we don't have.
It's about looking at what you've got left.
I like that.
And the saying that I came up with in my 20s was like, don't look at what you've lost. Look at what you've gained through your loss.
Hmm.
So everything that happens will bring you somewhere else. Rather than look at the tragedy, look at the outcome, the silver lining.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of looking at just what you've lost, look at what you've gained through that loss. Where did it bring you? What did you get out of it? There's always something positive,
Definitely.
and that's the mindset that I've had ever since then. Okay, so what can I do now?
Okay.
It's like, okay, I can't do this, I can't do that. Okay, what can I do now? What I got my hands. And then that continued. I moved around the country a bit,
Mhm.
and I got into construction just because I needed to trust my body again.
Oh.
I was afraid of that. I was really afraid. It's like I didn't trust my body. It's like I'd go for walks and I'd be like, I'm not sure I can make it around the block. I was always afraid that my body would just stop working.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided, I'm like, that job scares me, so I'm going to take the job in construction.
Wow.
Yeah. So I took that job, and then I really liked it, but then I realized I really liked the finished carpentry, so I went into cabinet making. When I finished that course, I got into cabinet making. I was working in an industry, and then all of a sudden my hands stopped working. Yeah.
My
No more
God.
grip strength. It's all gone. The hands are not, I couldn't even turn a doorknob with both hands to let my dog out to pee.
Wow, that's
So I'm
horrible.
like, okay, so I can't do cabinet making anymore. Okay, what do I got left? Okay, I got my head. All right, I need a brain job, a job that uses my brain. So I got into the event coordinating for the city where I was living.
Mm-hmm.
It was computer work, talking with people, doing this. I'm like, okay, I could do that. And it's a little dangerous to hold power tools, but I can touch, I can use a keyboard and a computer. I can talk to people. So
Right.
that worked. And then, yeah, so that's how I transform it. It's like, okay, I can't do this. So what can I do now? You
Okay.
know? And as much as, I mean, it hits hard, when you like doing something and all of a sudden, boom, you can't do it anymore. You got a transition period of like that mourning the loss of that one thing you like doing.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got to say, okay, so what's next? You got to keep looking forward.
Yeah.
That's why I say you got to keep moving, because the more you go forward, the more things happen, new things,
Mm-hmm.
and it helps.
Definitely. Definitely. So tell me more about this, the steroids dementia. How did you get to that place where you actually determined that that's what it was? What happened?
Well, I've had ADD for a while, for
Okay.
several years, and I was on the same medication, same dose for years. And I was telling my doctor, I'm like, I don't know, like my brain feels so fried. I'm like, there's something wrong. I could actually feel it. It's like there's something wrong in my head. It's like I feel so fried all the time. Like I can't think, and it's just like the brain's not working the way it's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to. I go, can we up the dose of Concerta? I was on Concerta at the time. So we tried that. I'm like, it's not working. Like I feel so fried all the time. Like it really, that was like the only word I could really use.
Yes.
And it's like I feel fried, like the neurons are just gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, my daughter was with me, and she said she'd read up a lot on Adderall and seen like videos on it and what it does and for the brain. So I went up to my doctor and I'm like, listen, either you give me Aricept for Alzheimer's or you give me the Adderall, because I can't take it anymore. I'm losing my mind. And
Mm-hmm.
like I can't think. I'm like I remember I was asked by a lawyer at the time, what was your address at your previous address? I had been gone for not even a year. I could not remember that address for the life of me. I was there for 6 years.
Wow.
It took me 24 hours to dig it up. It's like the information is there,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't get it out. It's like looking into a computer. You have that file. It's in a folder, but you don't know where that folder is and what box you put it.
Right.
But
Right.
it's there. You just can't access it. That's the steroid dementia, how it affects me. I remember going to see my doctor about it, and the secretary asking me, she goes, "What are you seeing the doctor for today?" And I looked at her, I'm like, I don't know. I
Oh.
can't remember. And I'm like, a complete blank. And I go ask my daughter, she'd be sitting there. I'm like, why am I seeing the doctor today? She goes, for your memory. Okay, that makes sense.
That makes
That makes sense. Oh, like I remember the secretary telling me, maybe you should see the doctor about that. I'm like, yeah, I think I should. That's what I was there for.
right. Right.
But yeah, that was at the worst, where I couldn't remember nothing. Like everything was forgotten. I'd talk with my daughter and she'd get frustrated with me, and I'm like, what did I do now? She goes, you just told me this. I'm like, I'm not doing it on purpose. I swear to God, I really had no clue.
Mm-hmm.
It was that bad. I felt like the mind was going. So it's better now, but there are moments where I'll draw complete blanks, and my face will just go blank, like I'm searching for files. It's like I'm in my head searching for that bloody file that I can't
Right.
find.
Right. Right.
So
Wow.
yeah, so
Okay.
it's a tough one.
Yeah. I mean, that must be hard, not being able to remember things, you know what I mean? Like even simple things, like short-term memory, that could be that's
Yeah,
very, very challenging, much less long-term memory.
it
Uh,
hits the ego a lot too.
I'm sure it would, definitely.
Because you're like, well, I know I'm smart. I know I know this, but I don't know it right now. I just have no way of getting that information.
Right.
So it's a little rough at times. But I mean, yeah, yeah, you keep moving on. You keep going.
That's
And you
good.
say whatever. It's like I don't hold it over myself.
Okay.
I don't hold it over myself and say, oh well, this really sucks all the time. And I don't complain about it. I'm like, you know what? People, if I forget, like a friend of mine called me and I couldn't recognize his voice. And even when he told me his name, I can't connect things. with my brain. It doesn't, like, the connections aren't there. Even though I know, I can't connect things. If you're telling, like, my daughter will talk to me about her friends and she'll say a name and I will connect it to a completely alternate person that's completely irrelevant to the story. And then I get all confused. So I make wrong connections in my brain.
Wow.
So the voice didn't trigger anything. Then the name, he said it. I'm like, oh, I don't know who you are. And I knew exactly like, I don't know who you are. Who are you?
Right.
So I kind of explained to him, like, listen, don't take it personally. Like afterwards, like, don't take it personally. I have this issue and I have a hard time making those connections. They don't connect. If it's random like that and I haven't like heard from him in a while, like, I don't know who you are.
Wow. So so I assume it's just you and your daughter. So she was
I
the
have
one.
my son as
Your
well. My
son.
daughter doesn't live with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's older.
She's older. So how was it like for them dealing with, with your dementia? How was it? How do you think it impacted them? Um,
Well, for my son, before the dementia hit, it was the high doses of steroids.
yes.
And that's when the kids started calling me Monster Mom.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was mean. I mean, I had mood swings that were just like irrational,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd have like the shortest fuse possible. You just make a noise and then, like the motor would grind like instantly. It's like PMS 100 miles an hour in a split second.
Right.
So yeah, so that affected them in that sense. And then I managed to bring that down and just, I'm able to control it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on high doses anymore, but when I have to go back on, I'm always very careful not to be mindful of it. And
Yes.
then I tell my son, I'm like, listen, it's not the time for jokes. How much prednisone am I on? It's not the time for jokes right now.
Right.
So we work around it. It affects them. And then the steroid dementia, where the forgetfulness and all that, they get frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
They have to repeat a lot, but they're better. Like my daughter's not so upset every time I'm like, listen, just give me a clue, give me a trigger, like trigger my memory. She knows to trigger my memory. If she sees me draw a blank, she's like this, like, oh, okay, I need triggers, otherwise it doesn't work.
Okay.
So like if they trigger it, they know how to trigger the memories now.
Mm-hmm.
They got to lead it. They don't come naturally for me.
Okay.
So they've learned to do that for me, so that helps.
So do you like write things? Do you have to write things down to like what are some ways that what are things that you have to do to jog your memory when you find that you're being affected?
Just for this interview,
Uh-huh.
okay, I saw the reminder come up like yesterday, and like, okay, I better set more reminders because I'm gonna forget.
Right.
I need constant reminders. I set it all up in my phone.
Mm-hmm.
My phone, all my appointments. Whenever I go see the doctor, in
Mm-hmm.
the appointment, before, like, I'll take it like a couple of weeks ahead of time, and then as I get closer to the appointment, I remember things I need to talk to him about, like randomly here and there. So I'll write it down because I know I won't remember by the time I get there.
Okay.
So I do write a lot down. I don't have a choice, otherwise I'm just lost.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go see a doctor. Why you see me? I don't know. That's what it'll end up being. I don't know why I'm seeing you. So yeah, so everything is written down. I use my phone a lot for that.
That's
The
good.
Google Calendars really helps.
Yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
can't live without my calendars. I have the calendar on my computer, my iPad, my phone, and everything is organized, like color coordinated and everything. So that way I don't forget, and because otherwise I would forget. And I don't have dementia, but I would just normally forget because
For me, it's more than just having it in the calendar. I need a ringer, something that rings, that comes up, says, hey, you have an appointment. Hey, you have an appointment. Like an hour before, 15 minutes before, I need constant reminders, or I'll get lost in time. I'll forget.
right.
So I've managed it, but I can't just say, look at your calendar and remember. I
Mm-hmm.
need the calendar to ring. I need it to go, hey, you have an appointment. Hey.
That's good though. That's good that you set up those systems, to kind of keep you focused. So my next
Yeah.
question there is, what did you have to do to overcome or bounce back from your lowest points? Please list all resources that apply to that.
To get through my lowest points,
Yes.
the resources like I've had some very low points, and I think I've wanted to have psychological, like a therapist and all that at one point in time, but I was too sick to go out and get it.
Yes.
So I relied on friends and talking it out with friends, and I had a lot of doctors,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So the resources that I had were basically my friends and my family at the time, because I couldn't go out and get more. I was too sick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I lacked on that, but I was fortunate enough that I was able to manage it well enough to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
But had I had that help at the time, oh my God. So the resources, like, to get out, it's I relied on my experiences in life, basically, knowing that I got out of so many other shitholes. Like, shit happens in life, my
Right.
language, but it does.
Yeah.
And I've gotten over all those
Mm-hmm.
every time. I've managed. So I'm like, okay, I can do this. So it's like I'm my own cheerleader. You can do this, Jen. You can do this. I know it's rough. You can do this. You did that. You still got your legs. You're still walking. You can do this too. You know.
Wow. Okay.
It's like, it's the resources is basically being my own cheerleader. When
Okay.
you have nothing else, you got to do it for yourself.
Mm-hmm. So my next question is, so what are three things that you wish you had available when you were at your lowest point? I know you mentioned
Yeah.
psychologists. Are there any things else that you would probably wish you had?
Well, a psychologist was really important at that time.
Yes.
But what else? I was doing everything I needed to do. I mean, it's like, yeah, I wish I had health. I didn't have it. you know, it's like, you can wish you had it. It's not going to happen. You got to get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that was the one thing that it would have made it a little easier,
Mm-hmm.
to get that outside perspective, like, more professional, not just a friend hearing you, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, and empathizing with you. Right.
Yeah, like some kind of guidance, to not be just on my own with it.
Right.
So I was lucky I made it through, but I know that not everybody does.
No.
I know that not everybody does, because, man, some situations are really hard.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm,
Definitely.
like,
So my next question is, what words of hope can you give to our listeners?
life will always throw you curveballs. No matter which way you try, you
Mm-hmm.
will get one and another. But every time you get one, there's tools in that curveball, and that pile of dump. There are tools for you to pick up so that you're more prepared for the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of worrying about being in a pile of shit, look for the tools to get out. Keep them with you, because you're going to need them for the next one, because there is a next one.
Right.
That's just life, you know? And just pick up the tools along the way. It'll help you for the next hurdle. And know that no matter what you can't do right now isn't that important. It's what you can do right now that is. So
Yes.
you got to switch that focus to, okay, what do I got left? When I didn't have my hands, I'm like, I still have my head.
Mm-hmm.
I can use my head, And then when my head wasn't all that good now, well, and my eyes aren't that good, well, then I can do jewelry. I can't click a mouse on a computer anymore. There's something wrong with my hand, but I can use pliers and
That's
play with jewelry. you know Focus on what you can do with what you have left,
Yes. Yes.
because there's it's like there will always be things you cannot do, but there will always be things that you can do,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Definitely. Definitely.
And you'll never have everything in life, but you will always have something. That's the important one.
That's good. I like that. I like that. So now we're going to switch up on in the interview a little bit to a more funner side. So my first, as you can see behind me, there's a book which is called The Music of My Life. It's about
Mhm.
my journey with bipolar disorder, and but I talk about music therapy. So with that said, what type of music do you like?
For me, music, it really varies. I'm very I just basically listen to the radio. I like the radio music. I'll change any channels, whether it be rock, soft rock, classic rock,
Mm-hmm.
pop music. And
Mm-hmm.
this time of year, I listen to Christmas music. But I mean, for me, I'm not huge on music. I don't have a playlist or any kind.
Okay.
I just know what I like, and then I'll listen to it, when I get a chance.
Okay.
But for me, it's yeah.
Okay.
For me,
Cool.
it's more of a quiet thing. I do jewelry. That's my art.
That's your art. That's your art. That's cool. So let me ask you, if you were to think of a song that best describes your journey, what would it be and why would it be?
Here I go again
Here I go again.
on my
Okay.
own. Yeah, it kind of depicts the life I've had. Here I go again. There's another one.
Right, 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 right. Wow. And
Yeah,
who's
that's
that song by?
I can't remember.
No worries, no worries. All right,
I don't
perfect.
know. I know the songs. You asked me the name. I'm like, yeah, I have a feeling I know, but I can't. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
it's not there.
Right, right. So, how can we stay in touch with you? What are your social media handles?
Well, I've got Facebook. So
Mm-hmm.
I've got Jenny Bites Jewelry on Facebook. So I got the Facebook page. I've got Instagram as well. So Jenny_Bites_Jewelry. And that's Jenny with one N,
Mm-hmm.
because short form better. And then I also have a Twitter account. So Jenny Bites Jewelry again on Twitter. And yeah, I also have my website. So JennyBitesJewelry.com.
All right.
So I got a lot of ways you can reach me.
Okay. So I'm going to be putting your information in the show notes in the bottom.
Mhm.
So whenever if people want to contact you, they can actually just click your links. So
Yeah.
with that said, to all you resilient minds out there, until next time, please subscribe to us on all our platforms, and don't forget to rate the show and leave a review for us on Apple Podcasts. Also, join the community of resilient minds and sign up for our monthly newsletter at CleoniCrawford.com. Be sure to grab a copy of my book, The Music of My Life, on all Amazon marketplaces to get to know me better. And if you can think of one person that will receive value from today's show or connect with Jennifer's testimonial, please share it with them. Feel free to take a screenshot of this week's episode of the podcast and tag us on Instagram. You can tag myself at Only Cleoni or Resilient Minds 365, or today's guest at Jeny with a 1N _bites_jewelry. And remember, mental health is not a death sentence. Despite your illness, you can strive, thrive, and live a life of abundance. Until next time, I'm Cleoni Crawford, and I'm signing off.